Salah, Jota, Mane, brilliant players, and you've won 3 trophies since 2015. That is shocking, mate. I think it's 1 win in 8 for Liverpool against City now. Pep's clearly learned from them early years. We don't really need to win this game. Your 4 fixtures after this are difficult. We've got some winnable fixtures, so I'm thinking to myself, just get out of Liverpool and then go into them 4 games and hopefully you guys will drop points.
I hope it is mind games, and I hope if Trent pops up on that team sheet that we can all celebrate it and City fans can sort of hang their heads in it, and it feels like we've got one up on them.
City at a small club?
At a smaller level. No, you know, well, no, because they've got all those resources. So in that sense, not a small club, but he obviously seems to think so because he was slagging the fans off earlier in the season.
Hey up, ready to clash?
Hi, I'm Josh Sexton. I'm a Liverpool fan and I work for the Anfield Wrap.
I am Lewis. I'm a City fan and I work for City Extra. But from a defensive point of view for City, I thought Salah kind of smoked Cancelo in the last one. If you look at both the goals at Anfield, Cancelo kind of struggled to deal with him. With Salah obviously being knocked out of the World Cup and that, he's coming back with some disappointment. He's going to want something to prove there. Premier League, Champions League, he's going to want one of them, I think, to sort of ease the pain of not making the World Cup. Trent's obviously, is he going to play? You know, who's going to play on the left wing for City? I'm hoping Foden, you know what I mean? I think Foden on that left-hand side. He's been playing false 9 for us quite a lot recently, but I think against Liverpool, put him out on the wing, whether it's, you know, Milner, Trent, depending who plays, I think Foden on that left-hand side for us.
I think for me it'll be the midfield. I think the midfielder will be the key battle. I think that's been like key to both teams really this season, and we've seen it in Liverpool City games in the past, how much respect they tend to show each other. I think there's so much respect between the 2 managers and then so much respect tactically on the pitch. So I think, you know, the likes of Rodri and Fabinho will just be crucial to this game, and, you know, thwarting counter attacks, making sure that both teams are able to counter press and that kind of thing. And I think that's where the game will probably win and lost.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, because Rodri for us this season, he's had a bit of a weird season. He started the season absolutely like mint, like the guy was slamming, and then the last 2 months I won't say he's struggled because that's a little bit harsh, but I think maybe the amount of games that he's played, maybe catching up with him. Obviously Fernandinho's, I don't know how many games the guy's played this year, but it's probably less than 10. So obviously Rodri's picked up a lot of the slack, and, you know, he's playing in there on his own, you know, and when we get counter-attacked a lot, so he's obviously sprinting about and that, and he really needs to dial himself in, Rodri, for this game. I think if he can get hold of the ball and dictate the game, dictate the tempo, I think that'll be crucial for City.
The result is ultimately going to be the most important thing. That's going to be the thing that people talk about for you know, weeks and weeks, potentially years and years.
City have got winnable fixtures. I think that everyone's in the bottom 10. You've got United, I think you've got Spurs, Newcastle away, Everton. You know what I mean? And whilst obviously Everton are having a bit of a bad situation.
5-0, beat Everton.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's no way that these 2 teams can allow Liverpool to win the league, mate. So, you know, I see it all the time, no way can City let Liverpool, or how about taking personal responsibility yourselves, United fans and Everton fans?
You've seen what it looks like when United try and take personal responsibility. They had a chance against you the other week.
Well, yeah, no, honestly, I just think you're going to drop points in one of them 2 games. I'm hoping so, you know what I mean? And for that reason, with them 4 fixtures that you've got coming up, I'm just wondering whether Klopp will say, we've got to really go for this. I'm going to say Pep, obviously, so I'll get that out there straight away. We're top of the league, obviously still in the Champions League, as a Liverpool, not disputing that. Obviously FA Cup, we're still there, you know, semi-finals. Yeah, I just think for us, we're still dealing with this situation where we've been out without a striker. Yeah, we've lost Ruben Diaz, he's been out for a period of time. I'm pretty sure that if this Haaland thing is true, that might be affecting some of the players, some of the forward players. They're fighting for the future, they're going to be at the club next season. For that purpose only, I'm going to say Pep Guardiola.
Historically, if you look at their reputations, Guardiola's probably been the better tactical manager, and Jurgen Klopp's probably been the better man manager who's able to like getting the fans on side and stuff. And it's almost like flipped to a degree this season. Some of the things that have gone on in the dressing room as well, Guardiola has seemed to, you know, get a bit of a better grip of it this season, and has dealt with the fans quite well during some, you know, tricky times, like when he's been accused of coming out and slagging the fans off, and how he sort of rescued that situation. And I would say it's Klopp just because of, as you say, the trophy's already in the bag, and I think that sort of tactical change has been like necessary for Liverpool this season, because there's been a few games which we have struggled in and then needed to be changed, and we've got the bigger squad now to deal with that as well.
This is where I think you guys are going to find it difficult at the end of the season, when we get into sort of the deep period of the season, when you're playing every 3 days, the pressure's ramped up, you know what I mean? You're in 3 trophies, you know, the fans will start talking quadruple. Klopp will start telling your fans to quieten down, because he will, because the pressure will be building. I think that'll determine for me how good Klopp as a manager is. Yes. Whether it all falls down or whether he can go on and do something special.
If you look at all Jurgen Klopp's press conferences, he's asked about the idea of the quadruple. He's got, we've got players on social media. I think Trent, after he won the Carabao Cup, posted like 1 or 4 and stuff. So I think they all know, and they're all willing to sort of like take on that pressure, and that's sort of what comes with playing for a club like Liverpool as well, with such an expectant fan base, is that you expect a bit of that pressure, and I think some of the players in this Liverpool squad genuinely thrive under that. So like I'm almost excited to see how much that pressure sort of tells on these players going into the back end of the season. You saw sort of over the 2 halves really that City went so much at Liverpool in that first half, and I thought Liverpool were a bit on the ropes, but I thought second half Liverpool stepped up so much. I think Curtis Jones was still on the pitch second half after a nightmare first half, and we seemed to sort of rescue that mentality and get into our stride a bit, and then obviously the goal comes from Mo Salah, and it's absolutely world class, and I think that is Liverpool at their best, is when it all is a bit free flowing and there isn't too much respect for the opposition team. There's always that respect, but it's when you're not afraid to get into your stride no matter what the opposition might do to you.
I think it's 1 win in 8 for Liverpool against City now. You know what I mean? Pep's clearly learned from them early years how to sort of deal with Klopp. And I thought in that first game, there's a few things that I learned. One, Pep knows how to play against Klopp, because we were the better team in that game. You know what I mean? I think Mo Salah is probably the best player in the world, because if he wasn't on that pitch, we would have won that game. 2 stunning goals from Mo Salah, some suspect defending from Cancelo, admittedly. Of course, as well, you've got the conversation about whether Milner should have been on the pitch. I think, even for Liverpool fans, you got to wonder how that guy managed to stay on the pitch. If he goes, it's a different situation. And I'm just looking to see, can City maintain this sort of decent record we got against Liverpool? Because what you got to remember is, we don't really need to win this game. Your 4 fixtures after this are difficult. We've got some winnable fixtures, so I'm thinking to myself, just get out of Liverpool and then go into them 4 games, and hopefully you guys will drop points, but we've got a great chance.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a underdog spirit in this Liverpool team. I think you've seen that down the years, to be honest. You saw it when we lost the final in Kiev and how we sort of bounced back from that. And I think Jurgen Klopp thrives under that sort of underdog role. I think it's something he's tried to play up down the years. I think there's no denying that Liverpool are a superpower and a super club with massive financial resources compared to most, but he still really wanted to sort of play into that idea that Liverpool are the underdogs at the sort of top of world football, because we are a super club, we're a superpower, yeah, we're a football superpower.
Did you think that it could also have the negative effect of saying, oh, we're the underdogs in this? I mean, what you can't tell me that Klopp's there in the dressing room and tell him, we're the underdogs. Mo Salah's like, I'm the best player in the world. Van Dijk's like, I'm the best centre-back in the world. I mean, do you think that could potentially backfire at some point?
He makes it like it's us versus them. It's not like he's going, oh, like, yeah, Mo Salah, you're an underdog. Like, he'll be saying, lads are writing you off because you've been beaten in 2 penalty shootouts by Senegal now, and they're saying, you're not capable of leading the team. So go out there and show them that you are capable of leading the team, and he is capable of leading the team. And as you say, we've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in the world, in my opinion, the best centre half in the world as well. And I think that's Liverpool operating like a superpower, but with that underdog mentality. I think that sort of suits us. And Jurgen Klopp's been asked by it a few times whether he likes to be the chaser, and of course he'll say no, because of course you want to have the points on the board. But I think secretly he does like being the chase, because he feels like there's just a little bit of that sort of pressure off. I just wonder whether this season that chase could just get to City, because I think you saw it in the Crystal Palace game that frustration started spilling over once the sort of clock started ticking, and it got to about the 80th minute. And I genuinely didn't think City were going to score in that game, so I thought the pressure was sort of starting to tell a bit.
That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Before the injury, best centre back in the world by a country mile. I genuinely say that, you know what I mean? But since his injury, I'm not scared of him anymore. He used to be so sort of demanding and aggressive on the pitch. Is he as good as he was? I don't think so, and I think Ruben Dias is showing at the moment that he is every bit as good as Van Dijk was a few years ago.
You'd have to speak to some of the number 9s across Europe and across the league and ask whether they're scared of playing against Virgil van Dijk, and whether it gets in their head that it is Virgil van Dijk there. Like I think Ruben Dias is fantastic. I think he is one of the best centre halves in the world, but I think Virgil van Dijk is still absolutely the top of his game. It took a while to adjust back to the injury. I think it was almost like the physical toll of things as much as anything. Like, I don't think I'd seen Virgil van Dijk produce a single bead of sweat before his injury, and then when he came back, you could sort of see that at times he did get a bit more flustered. But I think he's got that back now, and Liverpool have got that defensive solidity back again, which we didn't have at the start of the season. We've managed to, sort of manage our way through games a bit better in recent weeks, and I think that's almost understated because of how good he's been for so long. Like, he set the bar so high for himself now that whenever he falls below that, it's noticeable.
That is fair. Of course, like I say, he was for me the best centre back in world football. I just think that what Ruben Dias has done for our defence, it's incredible. Because obviously we lost Vincent Kompany, and then we didn't sign another centre back, thankfully, because it probably would have been Maguire. But we ended up playing Fernandinho there for a year, you know what I mean? And then we bring in Ruben Dias, and we needed a player in there who tell people what to do, where to be, when to press, when to drop back, and we didn't have that for a year because Fernandinho's obviously not a centre-back. So when Ruben Dias has come in, he's completely transformed our defence. And I genuinely, and Dias is so young, he's like 23, 24 years old, ridiculous. I think he's going to go on to be one of the best centre-backs in Europe. And right now for me, I think he's just a millimetre above Van Dijk.
If we win the ball back when we're higher up the pitch, you can spray a ball out to Mo Salah, you can keep Liverpool ticking over again. And I think that's probably the one thing I'd say that Ruben Dias doesn't have in his game compared to Virgil van Dijk, is that sort of importance to the team going forward as much, he's absolutely crucial to City going backwards.
Yeah. I mean, it's just obviously Pep, isn't it? It just is. I mean, come on.
I always like that as your starting position. Like this is objectively a fact that it's this.
It just is. I mean, look at what he's won. Look at what he's won over the time. Look at the influence he's had on the game in this country.
He's never managed a small club. He's never felt that sort of success
at
a smaller level. No, because they've got all those resources. So in that sense, not a small club. But he obviously seems to think so because he was slagging the fans off earlier in the season. But no, he's not sort of got that mentality of what it's like to be in a relegation fight, what it's like to get promotion, and all those kinds of things. I think if you're looking at who's a more well-rounded manager in terms of a tactical sense, in terms of man management sense, in terms of just being a leader for an organisation as a whole, there's no one in world football at the moment who's had as big an impact on their football club as Jurgen Klopp has had on Liverpool. He's got the fans back on side. He creates good atmospheres on big nights, and he's capable of doing that. He's capable of massive comebacks. He's so in tune with everything that his football club needs. And that's one thing that I don't think Pep Guardiola has ever had at any of the clubs he's been at. He's obviously, probably Barcelona's greatest ever manager, and he won everything that there was to win there. And still, I don't think he had the finger on the pulse of Barcelona quite like Jurgen Klopp has it at Liverpool. And
I think that Pep Guardiola did have control at Barcelona because he had to get rid of some big names at Barcelona.
As a leader of men and of a fan base and as I say, of an organisation, I don't think you get better in the world than Jurgen Klopp.
It's all about trophies, mate, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. It's all about which is the better manager, which one delivers. If you put a manager into this team, which one's more likely to get the trophies? And Pep Guardiola has demonstrated over a period of time that he's the man. I can't see how you can't say Pep Guardiola when he's won all them trophies.
You're talking about numbers of trophies, but there's one trophy which Pep Guardiola, we know, wants to win. There's one trophy which we know City hired Pep Guardiola to win, and that's the trophy he's still not won. And I understand you're talking about numbers of trophies, but Liverpool that season won the UEFA Super Cup, the Champions League, the Club World Cup, the league, the season that followed that.
I do think in the next couple of years we'll make that leap and we'll finally get our hands on the trophy. But this guy's won. He won the quadruple. He won every single trophy. Well, it is. I mean, it's a quadruple. Sir Alex Ferguson said that could never be done. You know what I mean? Well, Pep Guardiola went and done it. You know what I mean? So again, he's proving that he can do stuff that Sir Alex Ferguson said could never be done, and he went and done it. So I'm not being funny, man. I don't want to worry about this Club World Cup and Super Cup. You know what I mean? If we're not counting charity shields, then we're not counting them competition. No
charity shields help you.
Well, yeah, no, but we've still won 3 Premier Leagues, 4 Carabao Cups, and FA Cup. You know what I mean? You've won 1 Carabao, 1 Premier League, and a Champions League. Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, Jota, Mane, brilliant players, and you've won 3 trophies since 2015. That is shocking, mate. You know what I mean? At Chelsea, you would have been out a long time ago. I'm telling you now, and it's an awful return.
He's rescued Liverpool from being a team who were 8th and were worthy of finishing 8th in the Premier League, and by being self-sustaining. Look, he's spent money, but he's sold players as well. Jurgen Klopp's net spend during his time at Liverpool is sort of at an even keel. He's managed to work with the resources that he's worked with basically within his own team, from selling Coutinho, from selling a few other players, and he's won a Champions League, which is again what Pep Guardiola has not managed to do at Man City, and it's what he was brought in to do.
Well, no, he was brought in to win trophies. He needs to forget this story about picking Liverpool up off the floor. That's what Klopp needs to do. Now he needs to say, you know what, this is where we put our foot down and we want to be winning 2-3 trophies a season. And he's not done that yet. Can he handle the pressure? And we have seen him lose his rag quite a few times, you know what I mean? He's a very passionate man and I like that about Klopp, you know what I mean? But this for me, this next 2 months, is where we see what he's made of. Winning
the Champions League is the pinnacle of world football, not just European football. It's the biggest trophy in the world to win. I think you know that from losing the final, how painful it is to lose the Champions League final, because it feels like you're right there. All those players that won that Champions League for Liverpool can now say like that's them sorted for their whole careers. They've won that Champions League now. So look, sheer volume of trophies, fair enough. Pep Guardiola takes it, but since he left Barcelona, he's still not got that Champions League, and I'm sure within his heart of hearts he knows that's the one he's searching for, and he wouldn't give a jot about a FA Cup or League Cup if you asked him.
Mind games, mate.
I certainly hope it is, because
that guy, I
think it's all those things.
He's perfectly fine. I heard that he's apparently in Dubai doing some recovery work. Nonsense, mate. That guy's chilling. Nothing wrong with him. He'll be in the team. But if he's not in the team and you play Milner there, I don't think he should turn up, mate. I think it could get, honestly, you know what I mean? I just think, yeah, it could get proper messy then.
One of the best playmakers in world football. I think he's growing as a defender week in, week out. He would be a massive miss, and I certainly hope I hope it is mind games, and I hope it works. I hope that when Trent pops up on that team sheet, if Trent pops up on that team sheet, that we can all celebrate it, and City fans can sort of hang their heads in it, and it feels like we've got one up on them. He's completely revolutionised that right back position for us.
I think he's chilling on the beach, mate. Yeah, I think he's perfectly fine.
You want to see the two best versions of each 11 going at each other and making it a proper title fight and a proper fight for whatever comes next as well. And I think the only way that can happen is if Liverpool's best 11 is out and Trent Alexander-Arnold is absolutely a part of that.
It has to be the Centurions, man. 100 points. 100 points, mate. How we didn't even get a gold trophy for that is just absolutely ridiculous. 100 points, man. You know what I mean? That's unreal. Unreal, you know what I mean? Even the Liverpool team couldn't get that 100 points. That's how good it was.
I want to talk down that lockdown team to an extent, because when Liverpool came out of the pandemic, it was so different. It wasn't the Liverpool that we knew that had been the Liverpool to that point. They'd obviously just lost against Watford before we sort of went into the lockdown, but I think before that they were like 32 of 32 in the league, which is absolutely unbelievable. There was a point where, you know, genuinely we were having conversations with Liverpool fans thinking, well, will we beat City's record and will we be invincible, and like how good will that feel to do both those things, to get the pat on the back and the gold trophy, as you sort of say it. So, but then when we come out of the pandemic, there's a few results there where Liverpool, you know, let the chance of getting that 100 points go. I think we drew or lost away at Arsenal. There's a few other sort of bad results in there. We drew away at Everton, we drew at home to Burnley, and that kind of thing. So I think the sheer tag of it being the lockdown Reds for me sort of puts me off that a bit, because that season just was the maddest thing that we'll ever see, really, won't we?
Even as good as they were, they still couldn't get the 100 points. Yeah. And that's why I think it's just an unreal achievement. You know what, it's possible it could be done again. It's possible, because with Pep Guardiola at City and Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and the players that they have, it is possible, but it's so difficult. I just think it's one of the best achievements in this country ever.
I'm with you.
Was it? I was easy enough.
It's not even a debate for me, it's Kevin De Bruyne. He's one of the best players in world football, so both squads are pretty interchangeable, and you're still performing at the top of world football with either, but I think Kevin De Bruyne would add so much to this Liverpool squad.
But
I think
Alex Ferguson
to play Philip Coutinho in midfield and see what that looked like, and I think we beat two teams 7-0 in the Champions League group stage, Spartak Moscow at home and Maribor away, you know, completely swatted them both aside, and I think we'd have that now with Kevin De Bruyne, who I think is a more complete footballer than Coutinho ever was. I'm sort of saying that because that's like the closest example in this Jurgen Klopp team that we've had to a Kevin De Bruyne type player, someone who can just, you know, make a game flip on its head, can come up with a moment, can do a little bit of creativity, can disguise a pass into one of the forwards, and that's what Coutinho brought for us, and De Bruyne brings it for City on such a bigger scale, and is a better rounded midfielder. And I think if you added him to this Liverpool team, it would be genuinely scary.
For me, I do like Jota. And I think that's probably one of the best
buys.
Plays
like a proper number 9 as well, so if City are saying
that,
then...
yeah, because the thing is, right, you know, we could bring Salah in and play him on the right-hand side, but the truth be told is, do we really need him? Not really. We need someone who can play in that middle. Yeah, and whether it's, you said Mane's been playing down there for you recently. Yeah, brilliant. We could take him. But for me, I think that he'd suit Pep Guardiola's tactics. He likes to run around, you know what I mean, a bit like Bernardo Silva, but he's probably better in front of goal than Bernardo Silva. And I just think he's been a brilliant purchase for Liverpool. So yeah, I'm going to swerve. I'm going to swerve the Salah. I'm going to go Jota. I like him. I think he's a different class. Yeah.